Hey, it's Daniel here from Real Social Life. I'm just kidding. I'm just some genius kid that knows a thing or two about psychology and stuff. Nonetheless, today's podcast is on negging, the neg in pickup, how it's used, why it's used, the underlying principles of the neg, and how it works. So first off, I'm gonna start by sort of giving you a summary of what people think the neg is. Essentially, people view it as a negative comment, so that the girl who you're trying to get attracted to you will seek your validation, because by giving her a negative comment, she will see you as higher value than she is. That's essentially what it is, what it's viewed as. And I agree mostly with that sort of viewpoint, but I think it is often perceived wrong, and people often be downright insulting. You don't want to be downright insulting. You don't want to say a neg in a sense that the girl thinks you're try hard. The girl thinks you're trying to get a reaction from her. That's not how you do it. I will explain how you should do the neg when it's most effective. Why that works, and I'll give you an example of when it's actually been used on me myself, and what effect that had on me when interacting with this other person. So what the neg should really do, yes, it should convey that you are of high value, and that you perceive yourself to be as higher value than another person. Now, this fundamentally works not because you're saying something super insulting and that you think you can just say what you want to anyone you want and get away with it. Not for that reason, but for the very reason that you're just saying your mind, as opposed to sort of not saying something to try and savor their feelings. It's not that you're doing something extra, okay? It's that just you're taking away your stifleness, you're taking away extra effort in attempt to try and sort of save their feelings, and look out for their emotions. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'll give you an example to really show what I mean. That is not this extra effort that you're putting in. It's just like a lack of effort to save their feelings. So this example was actually with one of my friends' dads. It was at a party, my friend's party I went to. I know her dad. I'm a bit sort of acquainted, a bit friendly with him. I went up, saw and I shook his hand, and I'd just been outside. He'd been inside this whole time, and he was like, "Ooh, your hand's a bit cold." He wasn't trying to make me feel bad, but him in his position, he's just like, "Ooh, your hand's a bit cold." Just highlighting that to me. Okay, this wasn't an attempt to be like, "Oh my God, your hands are cold." Do you like? Are you searching for my validation now? This was him just saying what he thought, what his reaction was, and basically saying how, in the way that I was in the action of shading his hand, the way that I was sort of impacting him negatively, and it made me feel like, and straight away I was trying to qualify myself. I was like, "Oh yeah, it's cold outside," just automatically. And really, what he did here, he obviously sees himself in sort of somewhat position of high value. He's a adult. I'm only 17. I'm just his daughter's friend. Not even like a really close friend. I'm his daughter's friend. I'm just some chump that he sort of knows a bit, like friends a bit, talks a bit with. He perceives himself as a bit high value, so he's not like, someone who thinks they're lower value than me. If I go to shake their hand and my hands are cold and they're a bit like, they feel inside like, "Ooh, like your hands are cold, I'd rather them to be warm." If someone perceives themselves to be lower value than they are not going to mention that. They're not going to mention that. They're going to keep that quiet, because they're not going to want to seem to be like hurting my emotions in you in any way. So they're going to cover up. They're not going to mention that at all, because they won't want to leave a bad impression. They want to be in my favor. They want to congratulate themselves with me. He wasn't really worried about that. He wasn't worried about you know, if my emotions were hurt, my feelings were hurt, like, you know, I'm not going to be sort of deeply pained by someone saying, "Oh, your hands are cold," but what the point is, he wasn't particularly worried about maybe even slightly affecting my emotions. That's what it's got to be, because the alternative, that's the sweet spot right there. The alternative is someone really worrying about hurting your emotions, and thus they don't say anything that would even like slightly negatively affect their emotions. And that is not what a girl wants in a boyfriend. That's not what a girl is going to be attracted to. Someone who views her as this person that they just can't affect negatively. You know, you gotta just be someone who if you have something maybe even slightly negative to say, slightly critical to say, and it's affecting you, you say it. You know, and it's about this other person, you say it. That's what it is essentially. You know, so, you know, it's just not, you know, it's not even not shying away. It's just not putting the extra effort to protect their feelings is essentially what it is. Now, you can, in teasing, I guess, you can sort of maybe put in a little effort to be like, to point out something and be like, ooh, I don't know, your hair dyed, the color you dyed your hair is it's a little too yellow. If they dyed it blonde, a little too, you know, it's sort of yellowish. You know, so hopefully the girl will perceive that as you just sort of saying what you think rather than trying to sort of get a reaction. You know, just saying what you think, because that's what you do to people who you don't particularly care about ingratiating yourself with. And that's where you got to be coming from with this. You know, don't be coming from a place of outright insult. You know, because you know, the more extreme you get, okay, the more extreme you get, the more people who are going to be sort of deeply put off by it. All right. And I guess you sort of want to avoid that. But if that's really just who you are, a very, very unpleasant, mean person, then maybe go for it, because ultimately, if you're meeting a lot of people, you're doing that with everyone. Ultimately, the people you want in your life are the people who enjoy who you are, whatever you are. You know, you don't want to be faking it. You know, do you know what I'm saying? But yeah, so I just thought I'd highlight that point. Yeah, it's just little comments like this, which like, oh, your hands are a bit cold. You know, or something like, I don't know about that country where you're from, or your name sounds a bit weird, to me. what's your name? Oh, that's a bit weird name, you know. Or a little too blue. That's Julian Blanc's favorite. A little too blue. You know, that dress is nice, but a little too blue. You know, it's just showing the girl that you're not particularly scared to speak your mind. That you're not going to like censor yourself to protect her feelings. That's ultimately someone who that people want to be with. They don't want to be with someone who's going to be censoring themselves to protect their feelings. That's not very productive at all whatsoever. So that's essentially what the neg is.